Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky revealed on Tuesday he has a plan he wants to present to US President Joe Biden, which he believes will end the war with Russia.
Один із напрямків, де частина якого вже зроблена, це Курськ.
One part of the plan that is already performed is in the Kursk region.
Стратегічне місце
The second part is Ukraine's strategic place in the world's security infrastructure.
в структурі світу. Третій
The
напрямок
third part is a pressure package, a powerful package to force Russia to end the war diplomatically.
пакет примусу Росії до закінчення
The fourth part is economic.
дипломатичним шляхом. І четвертий напрямок економічний.
He said it would eventually end in dialogue, but that Kyiv had to be in a strong position. There was no indication of what the next steps would be, but he said he was hoping to attend the UN General Assembly in New York in September and that he was preparing to meet Biden. The comments come as several people are dead and multiple injured after Russia continued major missile and drone attacks across Ukraine regions for a second day, officials said on Tuesday. 2 people were killed when this hotel was hit by a missile in the central city of Kryvyi Rih. Just the frame of the building remained as rescuers combed through the rubble. In the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, 3 died in a drone attack, with 3 others injured in the region. The strike comes a day after Russia pummeled Ukrainian energy infrastructure with more than 200 missiles and drones on Monday in its biggest air attack of the war. While Tuesday's barrage was smaller, in the capital Kyiv, the military administration said air defences shot down all incoming targets aimed at the city. Zelensky said on Tuesday that Kyiv would retaliate against Russia for its strikes. He asked allies to consider joint air defence operations and provide long-range capabilities. The Russian Defence Ministry said forces had carried out a high-precision weapon strike on Ukraine overnight, the Interfax news agency reported. Moscow denies targeting civilians since launching a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, although thousands have been killed. Several Russian military bloggers said Moscow's attacks were an act of retaliation for Ukraine's surprise incursion into Russia's western Kursk region, the first such action since
Former President Donald Trump was hit with a new 36-page indictment on Tuesday, related to his effort to overturn his 2020 election defeat. The new indictment was obtained by U.S. Special Counsel Jack Smith's team after narrowing their approach to the election subversion case, following a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that former presidents have broad immunity from criminal prosecution. The revised indictment lays out the same 4 charges it brought against Trump last year, but it focuses on his role as a political candidate seeking re-election, rather than as the president at the time. The new reworked indictment no longer includes allegations that Trump sought to pressure the U.S. Justice Department in his bid to overturn the election. Dropping those allegations appeared to be an effort to keep the prosecution alive, after the Supreme Court found on July 1st that Trump could not be prosecuted for that conduct. A Justice Department spokesman said the case was presented to a new grand jury, which had not heard evidence from the original case. Attorneys for Trump did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Israeli army released video on Tuesday that it said showed Khalid Farhan al-Qadi, an Israeli hostage the military said was rescued from a tunnel in the southern Gaza Strip. Video showed a military helicopter landing at a hospital to receive the 52-year-old, who spent more than 10 months in captivity after he was abducted by Hamas-led gunmen on October 7th.
I am happy to inform you that today in the afternoon we received Mr. Farhan al-Qadi, a returned captive from Hamas tunnels.
Dr. Shalomi Kodesh of the Soroka Medical Center said al-Qadi was in stable condition.
He underwent initial evaluation in our emergency department. He appears to be in general good condition, but will require another day or 2 of medical tests to make sure he is still okay.
Military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said al-Qadi was recovered in a complex rescue operation from an underground tunnel in southern Gaza. He gave no other details of the operation, citing the security of the remaining hostages and Israeli forces. The operation was hailed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said he had spoken with al-Qadi. He added that Israel would work tirelessly to return the more than 100 hostages still in Gaza back home. Ismail al-Qadi, the brother of the rescued hostage, spoke to reporters outside the hospital.
Can't express my feelings. I hope my mother will be happier than us. We prayed for him. My mother prayed for him more. Her prayer reached the sky.
Al-Qadi was taken hostage in Kibbutz Magen, one of a string of communities around the Gaza Strip that was attacked by Hamas-led fighters on October 7th. More than 250 Israelis and foreigners were taken hostage in the attack, in which some 1,200 people were killed. Since then, Israel's military has leveled much of the Gaza Strip and displaced most of the 2.3 million population. And Palestinian health authorities say more than 40,000 people have been killed in Gaza by Israeli forces.
UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi said Russia's Kursk power plant is at risk of a nuclear accident. That's while a frontline battle rages in the Kursk region, a mere 25 miles from the plant.
When a plant is operating, the temperature is much higher, and if there was the case of an impact or something that could affect it, there would be serious consequences.
Grossi, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, gave his warning on Tuesday after an inspection.
This nuclear power plant is of the RBMK type, which basically means that it does not have the containment dome and protective structure that is typical to most of the more current nuclear power plants. What does this mean? This means that the core of the reactor containing nuclear material is protected just by a normal roof. This makes it extremely exposed.
President Vladimir Putin accused Ukraine last week of trying to attack the Kursk plant. That's after Ukrainian troops carved out a portion of Russian territory this month. Ukraine has yet to respond to the accusations that it attacked the facility. The safety of nuclear power plants has repeatedly been endangered over the course of the Ukraine war. Conflict began in February 2022, when Russia sent thousands of troops over the border into Ukraine. Moscow and Kyiv have repeatedly blamed each other for drone and artillery attacks on the Russian-controlled Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine. However, the recent incursion by Ukrainian forces into Russia has put the spotlight on the Kursk plant. It has 4 reactors of the same design as those at the Chernobyl nuclear plant, scene of the world's worst civilian nuclear disaster in 1986. Grossi also visited a school in the region, close to the Kursk nuclear power plant. A Reuters reporter heard air raid sirens blaring, indicating a missile threat, moments before Grossi arrived. Grossi has repeatedly warned of a nuclear disaster if nuclear plants are attacked.
Moussa Diaby Wage is one of the thousands of migrants from Mali seeking a better future in Europe. In January 2020, he crossed the ocean in a small boat from the Mauritian shore, fleeing conflict in his home country, which is grappling with jihadist insurgents.
If we had work, we wouldn't come, but we don't have a lot.
Now, the 20-year-old trains hard as a rugby player.
I always wanted to play rugby with a Spanish team. Inshallah, God willing. That's my dream. I've been training many years. Those years have passed, but I will continue to fight with my team so that I am seen, and one day I can play for a big team.
Many more teenagers will risk the dangerous sea voyage to reach Europe, Diaby said.
If migrants come when they are young, they may have a good future and achieve a lot, so that is why so many youths come.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez began his second visit this year to West Africa. He wants to curb migration to the Canary Islands and counter Russia's influence in the Sahel region. According to data from the EU's border agency Frontex, nearly half of migrants currently reaching the Canaries are Malians. Spanish authorities fear that as many as 150,000 more migrants from Africa may arrive this year.
Here in the northern Mexican state of Chihuahua, people are anxiously awaiting any sign of rain to refill dried out dams, wells, and lagoons. The state has faced unusually low rainfall levels in recent years, and so far they've waited in vain. Near the town of Buenaventura, Las Lajas Dam is near empty, and the little water left is infested with dead fish. Rogelio Pacheco Flores is the mayor. He says the dam has never looked like this before and that the dire situation feels like a punishment from nature. Farmers have been unable to irrigate their crops. Some have decided to leave land unplanted or use the remaining water to keep long-standing groves of walnut trees from dying. Local beekeepers have also been hit as the lack of rain has drastically reduced wildflower blooms. Bees are dying in huge numbers as they look for pollen elsewhere, making them vulnerable to herbicides and pests. Daniel Alberto Rubi, a fisherman who gives boat tours of the dam to visitors, can only hope that conditions will improve in the months to come.
This year, the dam is very dry. Its water level is 20%, and the water level continues to drop.
Stocks eked out gains on Tuesday ahead of a much-anticipated quarterly report from AI chip leader NVIDIA. The Dow nudged up to notch another record-high close, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both rose marginally. NVIDIA was the most traded company on U.S. stock exchanges on Tuesday, according to LSEG data. Shares of the AI darling climbed another 1.5%, marking a nearly 160% rise in 2024. George Cipollone, portfolio manager at Penn Mutual Asset Management, is among those who will be parsing NVIDIA's earnings report on Wednesday.
What the market is looking for tomorrow is roughly a doubling of sales, which, again, they've delivered quarter after quarter of really strong sales growth, and then roughly a 140% increase in EPS. I do think NVIDIA has a very good chance of hitting those numbers. I think the biggest point is going to be future growth or outlook for growth, and then how the market takes it, because expectations have been pretty high. And even since that recent bout of volatility, NVIDIA bounced back about 20%. So we can't say expectations are low heading into this report.
Overall, megacap stocks ended mixed, with Alphabet, Amazon, and Tesla losing ground. Among other movers, Super Microcomputer dropped more than 2.5% after short seller Hindenburg Research said it had a short position in the AI server maker. And shares of Paramount Global slid more than 7% after Edgar Bronfman Jr. abandoned his bid for the company, clearing the way for Skydance Media to take control of Shari Redstone's media empire. Data on Tuesday showed U.S. consumer confidence rose to a 6-month high in August, despite some jitters about the unemployment rate, which jumped to a near 3-year high of 4.3% last month.
Aerospace startup Boom Supersonic is on a mission to resurrect faster than the speed of sound commercial air travel, and on Monday, the company completed its second successful test flight of a supersonic jet. Boom wants to make it happen by the end of the decade with its Overture supersonic airliner. The company claims that the Overture, which is still in development, will be able to fly approximately 65 passengers from New York to London in 3.5 hours, and San Francisco to Tokyo in 6. For now, Boom has built a 1/3 scale prototype of Overture called XB-1, which has completed 2 successful flights at their facility in California's Mojave Desert. Reuters spoke with CEO Blake Scholl ahead of XB-1's second test flight.
Imagine being able to vacation in Australia instead of Hawaii. Imagine being able to take a day trip to London. I don't think anybody would not want a supersonic flight if it were safe, affordable, and sustainable. Well, the really exciting thing here is supersonic flights coming back. It's coming back in a far more mainstream way than we ever had with Concorde.
The Concorde was the first supersonic passenger plane, but with high costs of operation and after a deadly crash in the year 2000 in Paris, the fleet was retired in 2003.
The flight times will be very similar to what was on Concorde. We actually slowed down just a little bit in order to be able to make the economics way better, more profitability for airlines and more affordability for passengers.
The Overture won't be as noisy as the Concorde either, thanks to the world's first automated noise reduction system. Scholl says several airliners, including United and Japan Airlines, have already placed pre-orders of the Overture. Boom is aiming to make their first supersonic flight of XB-1 by the end of the year.
The owners of the NFL have voted to allow some private equity funds to invest in teams. Among the firms approved are Ares Management and a consortium including major investors like Blackstone and Carlyle. They'll be allowed to buy stakes of up to 10% in a team. A Reuters source says the firms plan to invest a total of $12 billion and can invest in up to 6 NFL teams each. The move brings football into line with other sports in North America and overseas. Major League Baseball and the NBA both allow private equity funds to own up to 30% of a team. The NFL last year formed a committee to look into changing ownership rules. In March, Commissioner Roger Goodell said the league was very close to outlining a new approach. The Washington Commanders are the most recent NFL team to be sold in a record-breaking deal valued at over $6 billion. Dallas-based fund Arctos Partners says the new vote makes it the only firm with assent to invest in all 5 of America's top sporting leagues.
Hyundai wants sales to speed up 30% by 2030. The automaker said Wednesday it was aiming for annual global sales of 5.55 million vehicles by the start of the next decade. It believes doubling its hybrid lineup could counter a slowdown in global electric vehicle demand. Hyundai also said it would buy back nearly $3 billion of stock over the next 3 years and boost its dividends significantly. Analysts said this new shareholder return policy was higher than expected. Markets liked what they heard on the carmaker's Investor Day, and its shares surged as much as 5%. The South Korean company said it planned to expand its hybrid lineup to 14 models from 7. It expects a surge in hybrid demand, especially in North America, but didn't provide a timeline for the release of the new cars. Hyundai and other automakers are reworking their strategies as global EV demand growth slows. They want to avoid spending heavily on models consumers aren't buying as fast as hoped. Hyundai sales of pure EVs dropped by nearly 25% in the second quarter this year from the same period last year. Now its shift to focus more on hybrid vehicles is in line with rivals like Ford and General Motors, which have cancelled new EVs to avoid spending big on models that aren't selling as fast as hoped.
Love life has had its ups and downs, but her unexpected marriage to Travis Barker is the latest twist. Their long history and strong chemistry made their union no surprise. While her relationship with Scott Disick was well documented on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kourtney's romantic history includes other notable relationships as well. Scott Disick first appeared as Kourtney Kardashian Barker's boyfriend on Keeping Up with the Kardashians in 2007. The couple met a year earlier at a party and faced their first split when Kourtney found a suspicious message on Scott's phone. Despite this, they reunited and welcomed their first child, Mason, in 2009, followed by Penelope in 2012 and Reign in 2014. They split again in 2015 after photos of Scott with another woman surfaced, but remained close co-parents. In the 2021 Keeping Up with the Kardashians reunion, Kourtney confirmed they hadn't been intimate since their breakup and noted that Scott had given his blessing for her relationship with Travis Barker, though their friendship has since become strained. In late 2015, rumors of a romance between Kourtney Kardashian Barker and Justin Bieber surfaced despite their 15-year age gap. Kourtney attended Justin's shows, but he later clarified on The Burt Show that they were just friends. Justin has also been linked to Kendall Jenner and Kim Kardashian, sparking ongoing speculation about his relationships with the Kardashian/Jenner family. Kourtney Kardashian Barker's romance with younger model Eunice Benjima, 14 years her junior, was both genuine and highly publicized. They traveled widely, visiting places like Cannes and Egypt. Although they briefly split in August 2018 after Eunice was seen with another woman, they reunited and were seen together again in Los Angeles and Disneyland in December 2019. Kourtney Kardashian Barker and Travis Barker began dating in January 2021, went Instagram official on Valentine's Day, and got engaged in October 2021. They had 3 weddings in Vegas, Santa Barbara, and Portofino. Kourtney announced her pregnancy at a Blink-182 concert in June 2023, and they welcomed their son, Rocky 13 Barker, in November. They celebrated their 2nd anniversary.
बिल्कुल खौफ महसूस होते हैं जब ये इधर डाडर से अंदर आते हैं तो ये पहाड़ी इलाके खौफ तो होते ही हमें ड्राइवर लोग, लेकिन हम इकट्ठे ही आते हैं 2-3 गाड़ियाँ इकट्ठे करके फिर कानवाई में आते हैं। तो ये पता नहीं था कि आगे ये होगा, अभी हुआ है, अभी खड़े हैं हम, क्या करें।
तो अगर इस तरह के हालात रहे तो कौन आएगा बलूचिस्तान के अंदर, हम तो नहीं आएंगे भाई, और बंदे भी नहीं आ सकेंगे। हर बंदे का यही व्यूज़ है कि हम नहीं आएंगे भाई, यही हालात है, 2 दिन से फंसे हुए हैं और हालात बहुत ख़राब हैं, इन पे कंट्रोल करना चाहिए।
मैं फिर भी साहब से पूछ के आपको बताता हूँ।
En esta zona siempre corremos el riesgo de que el fuego también pueda llegar a estas hermosas iglesias que tenemos, que son un patrimonio cultural del año 1700, que se conserva su estilo y en su gran mayoría son construidas con la madera, y por eso es muy propenso la dificultad de que puedan sufrir algún incendio.